You want a war? You're gonna get one.
Forget the lies, the money. We're in this together and through it all. They said that nothing's forever, and they refuse to see the change in me. Why won't they wake up? Come on, come on, come on. Let's get it out. Move to the music, play that fucking music. Live through my music, yeah.
Fallen soldiers, it's Reliving the War episode 198, the 23rd of August 99. This week Raw comes from Ames, Iowa, while Nitro's in Las Vegas, Nevada. Not only have we got a big Summerslam Fallout show this week, but a pretty significant story came out of the WCW camp when they arrived at Vegas. Eric Bischoff held a backstage meeting where he upset a lot of talent. Things got so heated that Raven has left the company when the option to walk out the door was presented by Eric. So morale's at an all-time low in the WCW locker room, while Bischoff's days are now truly numbered. Still, WCW look to turn their fortunes around with a promised Hulk Hogan vs Sting main event tonight and a live performance from Kiss. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that, but on top of that, they've got some seriously stiff competition this week from Raw's War. This week's jam-up guy is Peter. Peter attended a C4 wrestling show in Ottawa recently, and not only did he enjoy some grops, but he also conducted Serious Horseman business with his Serious Business shirt. Thank you very much for the support, Peter, and I hope you and everyone else watching enjoys an absolutely jam-packed episode of Reliving the War. Mikey Whipwreck took on Chase Tatum in the Nitro opener, Mikey's final match in WCW, and it felt like Groundhog Day when Sid Vicious interrupted the contest. Here we go again. This also happened on Thunder, by the way, and Sid also enlisted his own referees to keep track of his victories. Charles Robinson counted pinfalls against everyone Sid destroyed, and these pinfalls are getting counted to Sid's undefeated streak. Also, I should mention that Coach Buzz Stern debuted on Thunder through a pre-recorded vignette. For those unaware, Mr. Stern here was once known as Glacier, so the Frosty Balls have been warmed up and Chili Chode is no more. Sid powerbombs Whipwreck and Tatum. Robinson holds up a sign saying 68-0, and Sid says the message is clear. Every time he steps into the ring, he's going to get more victories. And in the year 2000, only the name Sid Vicious is gonna matter. Sid's on his very own path of destruction, and he won't stop until he's the main man in WCW. Billy Kidman bumped into Kimberly Page backstage and he apologised if he offended Kim last week on Nitro. Mrs. Page is totally fine with it, and she says she'll have a word with Dallas later because she has no idea what got into him. We then come back from a commercial break and Goldberg sees DDP beating 7 shades of shit out of young Billy Kidman, and when Goldberg tells Page to leave young Billy alone, the two get into a war of words that quickly escalates when Dallas calls Goldberg a meathead. Officials are quick to step in and DDP makes his way down to the ring to cut a promo, and Page feels disrespected because Chris Kanyon trained Billy Kidman and Dallas helped bring Billy into the company. Page warns Kidman not to breathe the same air as his wife, and as for Goldberg, Bill can step into the ring with DDP tonight and the two can go at it just like they did in this very venue at Halloween Havoc 98. Sting then comes down to cut a promo, a lot of promos on Nitro already this week, and listen to this right here.
Stizzing in the hizza!
Stizzing in the his house. It's Carney Sting, ladies and gents. Sting remembers Hogan saying that he's going to kick Sting's ass last week, and the icon says, and I quote, "The Hulkster shouldn't let his mouth override his butt." It sounds erotic. Lex Luger comes to the ring. It seems like Lex just comes and goes as he pleases these days. The two friends embrace while a Luger chant breaks out in the audience, and Lex says he's known Sting for a long time, but Sting hasn't known Hogan for a long time. In short, Lex isn't buying the whole good guy Hogan routine, and Luger thinks something's up. Hulk Hogan cannot be trusted. Lex supports Sting. Sting's always been there for Lex when he needed him, but Sting needs to be careful around Hogan. Sting says he's still taking the title match tonight. He appreciates the concern, but it's an opportunity to face Hogan one-on-one and he's not going to let the chance pass him by. So Lex wishes Sting good luck, and that's that. Good guy Lex Luger also came out during the next matchup, another Buff Bagwell versus Ernest Miller match. Sonny Ono was doing his usual routine and giving the Cad an unfair advantage, so Lex came down to chase Ono away and Bagwell ended up getting the win. DDP came back out and he called out Goldberg. Dallas wants to fight him right here, right now. Bam Bam Bigelow attacked Goldberg from behind while Billy made his entrance, but he shakes it off. He runs down to the ring. The Jersey Triad try to do a number on Goldberg, but Kenyon and Bigelow take spears while DDP runs away. Goldberg then says he'll get Dallas next week. DDP's next, so I assume the one-on-one match is going to be next week and not tonight. We cut over to a few kids having a Lodi-themed Nitro party. The commentators have no idea where this is coming from or where the footage is being filmed, but our guy here looks like he really needs to take a shit as he shows us a Lodi cake and some snack items specifically for their Mexican friends. A brawl then breaks out, the kids have a food fight, no idea who, what or why, but I think Lodi himself might be behind this. Triple H kicks off Raw with an in-ring promo. On Nitro, Lenny Lane takes on Juventud Guerrera. Jim Ross entered the ring to interview new WWF champion Mick Foley, but Triple H's music played and the game marched down the ramp looking extremely pissed off. Helmsley wants JR to stay right where he is. There's going to be no celebration tonight. Triple H has been screwed over and over again on his quest to become champion, and last night was supposed to be Hunter's night. Triple H rightfully became #1 contender at Fully Loaded, and the WWF threw every obstacle in his way. Fight this guy, fight that guy, triple threat matches. And then at SummerSlam, Triple H has the champion beat, and a bogus referee named Jesse Ventura refuses to count. Stone Cold was a beaten man and Mick Foley stole Hunter's thunder, but Hunter takes some solace in the fact that he crippled Steve Austin. Austin wasn't just beaten, he was completely done, and Triple H then remembers that Mick Foley and Steve Austin are Jim Ross's boys. Helmsley thinks JR must be enjoying this, judging by the way he's looking at Hunter right now. So Triple H says he's going to enjoy what he's about to do right now before putting Jim in an armbar. Hunter then says he wants Mick Foley. He demands that Mankind walks down the ramp right now or Jim's going to get his arm broken. Mick shows up, Triple H tells him to stay back. The game demands a shot at the WWF title tonight or JR's going straight to hospital. Mick says all Triple H had to do was ask, and Foley will give Hunter a title opportunity as long as he lets Jim go. Hunter confirms that he will get his shot tonight on Raw. Mick says yes, and after Hunter thanks the WWF champion, he clubs JR and it looks like Ross has been seriously injured. Mick runs down, he says the deal is now off, so Shane McMahon makes an appearance, and because Commissioner Michaels isn't here tonight, Shane has the ability to book whatever matches he wants. Triple H versus Mick Foley is going to happen, and that match takes place in the Raw main event. Over in WCW land, Lenny Lane is the new Cruiserweight champion. Lenny Lane defeated Rey Mysterio on Thunder to claim the championship, and even though the belt was up for grabs in this match, we didn't get a winner because, you guessed it, Sid Vicious launched another attack. Hoovy, Lenny and Lodi all took powerbombs, and Sid covered his opponents to get another pinfall win. Road Dogg faces Al Snow next for the hardcore title, while over on Nitro, Sid Vicious talks a load of absolute dog shit. Snow attacks Road Dogg before he can get his usual pre-match promo out. The DOGG gets wrecked with a steel chair, and we can see Peppers at ringside when the action goes to the outside. Road Dogg gets set up on a table, and Snow hopes to use a ladder to do a little damage. Hope being the key word here. The spot doesn't go as planned, and just as Snow gets set up for a powerbomb through the table, the Y2J countdown begins. Jericho runs down and he doesn't get in a single punch. Road Dogg takes care of Chris pretty easily, and the two end up heading to the back. Meanwhile though, the big boss man runs down to attack Al Snow before abducting Little Pepper. The boss man now has Snow's little doggo, and Al loses his mind once again. In the back, we see Y2J and Road Dogg fighting. The boss man takes out Road Dogg before getting into his car. The car speeds away, and all Al Snow can do is try to chase the big boss man. On Nitro, Sid says there's going to be no end to the madness that keeps happening right now. There's no one in the back who can stop this rampage, and if anyone tries to stop Sid Vicious, well, this is what's going to happen. 70-0, ladies and gents, 70-0. The streak's going to go higher and higher until it overtakes Goldberg's legendary win record. Sid will be the name that's heard around the world, but right now the fans are chanting for Goldberg and the big man looks like he's about to snap. Sid says in the year 2000 Goldberg won't be here anymore, neither will Sting and neither will Hulk Hogan. Only the master and ruler will stand in WCW, and yeah, I can't wait. Full Nitro broadcasts featuring nothing but Sid Vicious, it's gonna be great. Curt Hennig and the West Texas Rednecks played their new song Good Old Boys for the fine folks in Las Vegas. And not only that, the Good Old Boys music video was also played for fans at home. As mentioned before, the song's nowhere near as good as their previous smash hit, but gotta say, the lyrics Southern born, Southern bred, when I die I'll be Southern dead is some top tier stuff. Check out Curt Hennig getting his guitar strap wrapped around his face though, probably the highlight of this whole performance.
Oh, big bratwurst.
Vignettes advertising the arrival of Berlin played throughout this whole episode of Nitro, and I'm guessing WCW forgot that Berlin was seen sitting in the audience on Nitro a few months ago. Nonetheless, the big bratwurst has gone evil and we're dealing with a new Alex Wright, folks. There's no way this can be bad. Next up, the Acolytes take on the Unholy Alliance for the WWF Tag Team titles. On Nitro, the First Family battle the Revolution. Kane and X-Pac join the commentary team for this tag team match. Kane offers some great insight by saying absolutely dick all. The Undertaker takes Big Show's tag team belt away from him because the Phenom thinks his partner isn't good enough to wear the belt, even though he carried a motorbike on his back while wearing lizard boots and a snake necktie. And the action begins with the Acolytes double teaming Big Show. Show puts Farouk and Bradshaw down, but The Undertaker refuses to tag in, so Show tries to carry on with the big boot to Farouk, but the Acolytes again double team the big man, and The Undertaker's in no rush to help out his partner. Finally, The Undertaker helps Show by distracting Farouk. The dead man then throws the Acolyte onto the commentary table, and Kane decides to beat Farouk up a bit while X-Pac and The Undertaker begin to fight. The referee calls for the bell, and we've got ourselves a DQ finish. It all ends with X-Pac getting chokeslammed by the Big Show while The Undertaker cracks Kane's skull with a chair shot. So maybe the former tag team champion should have stayed in the back for this one. The First Family vs Revolution match on Nitro was only put together to promote another match happening later tonight. The match broke down as they always do in these multi-man contests, and it looked like the Revolution had it won when Perry delivered a suplex to complete Tit Brian Knobbs. But Rick Steiner run down to hit Saturn with a Steiner Bulldog, and the First Family defeated the Revolution. Chris Benoit then issued Rick a challenge. He says the US title represents Chris's own success in WCW, and if Rick wants to taste some of that success, then he can try to beat Benoit tonight on Nitro. Chris said Rick's tough, but he can't beat the Crippler, and Rick said he's afraid of no man while accepting the match. Shane Douglas then said, out with evolution, in with revolution, so I guess that's the Revolution's new little catchphrase now. Look who's making her Raw debut this week, it's Lillian Garcia. I legit forgot Lillian began working for the WWF this early on. Something else that made its debut this week was the Blonde Bitch Project, an idea cooked up by Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara that ended up getting killed off before it began. It was reportedly going to be a series of videos put together to mock Sable. Sable was still doing interviews and ripping WWF apart at every given opportunity, so Russo's way of getting back at her was to film a Blair Witch Project spoof featuring the Blue Meanie and Stevie Richards going to find the infamous blonde bitch that lurks around in the woods in Ames, Iowa. It was reported that Vince McMahon didn't know what the Blair Witch Project was, and therefore he thought other people didn't know what it was, and the whole thing got scrapped and totally forgotten about. Apparently the whole thing was recorded though, so the other vignettes have become lost media that still haven't seen the light of day. Next on Raw, Test has a surprise for Stephanie McMahon, plus we've got a Jeff Jarrett promo. On Nitro, the ICP takes on Rey Mysterio and Billy Kidman. So Test comes out after beating Shane McMahon last night at SummerSlam, and he says sometimes a man has to ask questions. Sometimes a man has to pop a question, and hold your horses there, big man. Do you not think this is a bit too soon? Also, if Test is going to do what I think he's going to do, then maybe one day when Vince McMahon steps down, or I don't know, gets forced out of his own company for being a dirtbag, then Test could potentially take over WWF Creative and we might have the Test era by the time WrestleMania 40 arrives. Stephanie comes down to the ring with a shit-eating grin on her face, followed closely by her brother Shane. Shane says Test isn't going to ruin his sister's life and this whole farce will only continue over Shane-O's dead body. And when things get a bit frisky, Stephanie steps in and she says she loves Big Andy. Andy's an absolute stud and he makes Stephanie happy, you know what I mean? Little Miss McMahon gets very overdramatic here, but Test pulls her away before getting down on one knee. My god man, don't do it. Test wants to know if Stephanie will be his lawfully wedded wife, and Steph says, nah, not today mate. She loves Test apparently, but she needs more time. This answer seems good enough for Shane. The boy wonder smirks at Test, while Test looks like he wants to eat Shane-O for breakfast. Before we check out the Double J promo, Chris Jericho's annoyed that Hard Finkle didn't help him earlier on when Road Dogg launched an attack. If the Fink wants to hang with Y2J, he needs to be a warrior who stands up and fights for what he believes in. We'll come back to this a bit later. Jeff Jarrett comes out with Deborah and Mark Henry, and Double J wants to hand out a few presents. First, he gives Mark Henry the European belt for his help last night at SummerSlam. Yes, Mark is now the new European champion. He then thanks Deborah for setting up last night's charade by giving her her own assistant, Miss Kitty, real name Stacey Carter. And finally, Double J has a gift for every superstar in the back. There's an open contract stuck to the locker room door backstage, and anyone can sign that contract for a shot at the IC Championship. Mark Henry then gets ready for a match against Meat, but D'Lo's already got the Stasiak in the back, and the Meaty Man gets taken out. Yeah, D'Lo's beating some Meat. The former IC and European champion then comes down for an impromptu match against his former best friend. Unfortunately, this one doesn't go on too long. Henry launches D'Lo into the air, but D'Lo comes back with a jumping leg lariat and a leg drop before hitting the frog splash. Jarrett then interferes to cause a DQ finish, and Henry leaves with his new best buds while D'Lo's left all alone. Billy Gunn wants to sign that open contract and he tells Chyna to hang back while he finds a pen. Chyna's like, okay, and when Badass walks away, Chyna signs her own name on the dotted line. Looks like we're going to see Double J versus Chyna for the IC belt very soon. On Nitro, the Deadpool make their entrance without Raven. The faction's going to go through some changes now that Raven's gone, but right now they're focused on Rey Mysterio and Billy Kidman. Not a lot to dig into here. The ICP's best offense was this double gutbuster right here to Rey Mysterio, and Shaggy Tudo pulling off his top rope leg drop. But the Insane Clown Posse were really outclassed by Kidman and Mysterio in this matchup. Vampiro tries to lend his teammates a hand, and while this worked out well at first, he ends up running into Shaggy 2-Dope and the ICP lose this tag team match. So Vampiro joins in for a post-match beatdown and Eddie Guerrero runs down for the save. Guerrero challenges Vampiro to a match tonight on Nitro, and that match is going to take place in the semi-main event again. Yeah, if you remember a few weeks back, these two already squared off in a Nitro semi-main event. It ended with interference. We'll see if the same thing happens a bit later on. The Rock takes on Gangrel next on Raw. I know, random. On Nitro, Hulk Hogan cuts a promo, brother. Hogan says, it's great to see all this red and yellow in Vegas tonight. The guys in Gold's gym were wearing red and yellow while they were clanging and banging. And Hogan says there's going to be no shenanigans tonight. The world title match against Sting is definitely going to happen. In regards to Lex Luger, the Hulkster heard what Lex said earlier on, and so did, and I quote, Nitro Nick. Hogan's son is apparently called Nitro Nick. Nitro Nick phoned his dad and he said, Dad, what's going on, brother? What's going on with Lex Luger? Doesn't he speaketh the truth? I'm not making this up, by the way. Here, have a listen.
Dad, what's going down, brother? What's happening with Lex Luger? Does he speaketh the truth?
Hogan tells his son that he would never think of double-crossing him. He wouldn't double-cross Nick's sister or his mum either. Again, I'm not joking. Hulk gave the people his word. He gave Sting his word. Wood from the Hood is not going to make an appearance tonight, and all we're going to get is good guy Hulk Hogan. Finally, The Rock has come back to Iowa. Gangrel's going to bring his little cup of blood down to the ring in a moment, but The Rock's going to empty it out, fill it up with monkey piss, and shove it straight up Gangrel's ass. Does Rocky carry a little pet monkey around with him at all times or something? The new Brood walk down the ramp and Rock wrecks every member of the group. The match begins with a clothesline from Rocky followed by a suplex. Gangrel has no answer for the Great One at all here, so he decides to leave the ring and head to the back. Rock falls right for the trap and Matt Hardy gets in a sneak attack, but back in the ring, Rock turns it around with a DDT before the funky vampire gets sent back out of the ring. Rock gets pulled out and the Hardy Boys launch another attack. Jeff launches himself from the barricade and Rock gets wiped out. Edge and Christian then run down to chase Matt and Jeff away, and this leaves Gangrel all alone to take a Samoan drop, a rock bottom, and a people's elbow. Rocky wins via pinfall and he cuts a promo before heading to the back. He says Triple H was out here earlier crying like a baby. All this #1 contender nonsense is the biggest load of cow shit Rock's ever seen, and I agree, it's absolutely terrible. Rock defeated Billy Gunn, he just whipped Gangrel. The Rock's done playing with these guys and it's time for the People's Champ to take matters into his own hands. I think Rocky just confirmed he's coming for the WWF title. Tori challenges Ivory to an evening gown match this week on SmackDown, and remember, I will be covering SmackDown this Sunday on the channel. Hopefully you come over and check it out because I won't be recapping it next Thursday on Reliving the War. Next, we've got a hard Finkle promo on Raw while Chris Benoit takes on Rick Steiner on Nitro. I'm expecting these two to beat the hell out of each other and they don't disappoint at the opening bell. Rick beats Chris down with some stiff shots, but the US champ comes back with a German suplex. Rick gets up and he puts Chris down with his signature scoop power slam, and the DFG claws at his opponent's face before choking him out at the ring ropes. Benoit then gets slammed hard into the corner before Rick chokes him out with his big boot. We then go to the outside where the onslaught continues. Chris Benoit's getting destroyed right here as Steiner intimidates the referee and the commentary team. But when we get back in the ring, Benoit shakes it off and we see 3 German suplexes from the US champ. Benoit goes up for the headbutt and Rick uses Charles Robinson as a shield. And when Steiner tries to use Benoit's belt as a weapon, he gets stopped by Perry Saturn. Saturn lays into Rick and this leads to Sid Vicious coming down to help Rick out. Saturn takes a big choke slam and a powerbomb before Benoit wakes up. And the boys say the revolution's finished as Chris grabs a microphone. In a pretty well-known promo, Chris says he and a lot of the other guys are sick of the cliques that monopolize the top spots in this company, and they're sick of the cliques and groups who keep the young guys down. Chris is going to make sure these guys find out what Revolution's all about this Thursday on Thunder, apparently, and the heels don't seem all that bothered, to be honest. You can tell Benoit meant what he was saying though. The whole thing about the young guys not getting a chance was brought up on TV a while ago, and it's going to be a running theme on WCW until the doors close in 2001. On Raw, Hard Finkle shows he can be a warrior just like Chris Jericho requested by imitating the Ultimate Warrior during his entrance. Could have fooled me, I really thought it was the Ultimate Warrior for a second. The Ultimate Fink says Jericho came here to make WWF a better place and Hard believes in Chris Jericho. All these other J-Brones like Road Dogg don't have a clue, and the Fink calls Road Dogg out to have a little chat. Road Dogg comes out after Fink accused him of picking his nose backstage, and Jesse James thinks that Hard's joking right now, while the Fink says no, the only joke here is the Road Dogg. Hard says he's not taking it anymore, he shoves Road Dogg. Road Dogg says the Fink's been dipping into his fat sack again, but no, Fink shoves James again, and now Hard's in a lot of trouble. Fortunately, he gets saved by the Y2J countdown and Chris launches a sneak attack. Finally, we get to see Jericho on offense, and he makes it count with his signature double powerbomb. You know, pairing up Chris Jericho and Hard Finkle's a great move in my opinion. The Fink is so charmingly awkward, and having him deal with the arrogant Y2J works way better than what it should. Al Snow's walking around backstage completely lost without Little Pepper while Billy Gunn goes looking for China. Triple H tells Mr. Ass he doesn't know where China is, and there's definite friction here between the two former degenerates. We also get an update on Stone Cold Steve Austin. Apparently he suffered severe tendon and ligament damage thanks to Triple H's attack on Austin after last night's main event. Mankind says Triple H has made a lot of stupid mistakes recently, he's been injuring a lot of folks lately. Hunter may enjoy dishing it out, but tonight we'll see if Hunter can take it. We've got the battle of the super heavyweights next as Bob Holly takes on Crash Holly. On Nitro, Harlem Heat battle the Windham brothers. Booker T gives Kendall Windham a wrestling lesson for free at the beginning of our tag match. Stevie Ray comes in to give this fruit booty a double back elbow, but our guy misses an elbow drop and in comes Barry Windham. Stevie Ray performs a power slam and Barry replies with a DDT. Bobby D then gets a cheap shot in on the outside, but Stevie Ray hits a double clothesline before tagging Booker back in. Hennig and Duncan Jr. try to attack from the apron, but this backfires when Kendall accidentally hits Kurt, and we think Harlem Heat's going to win another one following a missile dropkick from Booker T. However, that's not the case this week, folks. The referee's too busy with Barry Windham and Stevie Ray, and this allows Kurt Hennig to hit Booker with his bull rope. Barry Windham and Kendall Windham become the new WCW Tag Team Champions in what must be considered an upset, and I do wonder where WCW is going to go with this one. Do they have a plan in place, or is it just another random title change that's going to lead to nothing? Hardcore Holly says he's the true super heavyweight of WWF, and if Crash thinks otherwise, it's time to put up or shut up. So Crash puts up by heading down to the ring, and we end up with a standard WWF hardcore match that I gotta admit I'm starting to get a bit tired of. No doubt these matches are hard work for the competitors, but they're always the same. The two brawl through the crowd, they brawl through the backstage corridors. Crash takes a pretty rough looking bump at the table set up beside some shutters, and the match just randomly ends when both men walk out of the arena. I do enjoy the weird relationship the Holly cousins have though, and I think Crash actually complements Hardcore quite well. Things do improve over time thankfully, because there's only so many times you can do the same thing over and over again. X-Pac and Kane take on Viscera and Mideon next on Raw. Nitro presents Eddie Guerrero vs Vampiro. Undertaker and Big Show join the commentary desk, and it's just as weird seeing Undertaker on commentary as it was Kane. He's out here talking about the phony tough and the crazy brave. And really, when we talk about the American badass Undertaker, we should really start with the Unholy Alliance, because this is when Taker's personality really began to change. The ending of this one was a foregone conclusion though. X-Pac and Kane's real enemies were not the guys in the ring, but the guys on commentary. The Phenom says Kane's soft and he lacks the killer instinct. The Big Red Machine wants friends and he needs someone by his side. And this comment made the Big Show cry his eyes out. The Acolytes walk down the ringside and they stand by to watch the match unfold. And listen to this, the commentary is out of this world.
I kind of feel like Michael Cole got a lot of mousse in my hair. Look at my slender, never mind.
Anyway, Paul, look, the Acolytes.
Paul Bear reminds fans at home that he made Kane. Studley Paul banged the Undertaker's mom, and Undertaker's like, yeah, cool. The Phenom's more concerned about Kane being a big softie these days, but the big softie's doing a pretty good job taking out both Viscera and Mideon. Viscera fires back with a Samoan drop, Kane no-sells it by sitting up. In comes X-Pac with a fantastic spinning back kick, and there it is, Bronco Buster. The Acolytes beat up Kane as X-Pac hits Mideon with a Bronco Buster, and because he has no backup, Kid falls victim to a big splash and Viscera wins via pinfall. Backstage, Chris Jericho says Hard Finkle needs more training. If the Fink studies Y2J a bit more, then maybe Hard can have his own TV show. We already have Raw is Jericho, and this week we could have Thursday Night Fink Down. Doesn't really sound all that good, does it? On Nitro, Vampiro must have owed Eddie Guerrero money because Latino Heat's lighting him up big time. A dropkick sends Vampiro into another dimension, and Guerrero keeps the pressure on with a jumping back elbow and a snap suplex. We go outside where Vampiro gets thrown into the guardrail, but back inside, Vamp pulls off a modified enziguri followed by a top rope wheel kick. Eddie stops a top rope attack with a suplex. He then signals for the frog splash. Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope show up, and we see a rare botch from Eddie when he loses his footing on the top rope. Again, you have to give ICP credit. Shaggy 2 Dope stepped in at just the right time to break Eddie's fall. And yes guys, I know they were trained wrestlers, but they didn't compete at this level to an audience this big. I've seen plenty of veterans who didn't show any urgency when things like this happened. So yeah, good stuff from Shaggy 2 Dope. I think he actually hurt himself more than Eddie did right here. The match ends when Vampiro lifts Eddie up and Latino Heat bangs his head into Mr. 2 Dope. Vampiro wins via pinfall, and yeah, Shaggy's limping around the ring when the filthy animals run down for the save. Unfortunately, every Deadpool match has involved interference in one way or another, so it's all becoming very predictable. Before the Raw main event, Billy Gunn calls out China. BA isn't happy that China signed the IC title contract and he wants to have a little heart-to-heart. China says there is no joke and the ninth wonder of the world just beat Billy to the punch. Gunn says he's not playing around. If China doesn't hand over the title shot, then Billy's gonna take it. But before these two can throw down, Double J shows up and China takes a guitar shot that looked pretty good. Billy Gunn takes another guitar away from Miss Kitty, Jared ends up getting clocked, and Deborah seems pretty annoyed at her assistant's lack of care right here. I'm a bit confused though. Are they trying to turn Billy Gunn into a babyface, or are they trying to turn China? Here we go then, Hulk Hogan vs Sting for Hogan's World Heavyweight title. On Raw, Mankind defends his newly won WWF Championship against Triple H. The crowd really turns it up for this Nitro main event as the two competitors shake hands. Everyone's on their feet for the initial lockup and Tony Schiavone's treating this like a WrestleMania main event. Things get heated when neither man gains an advantage and both men cool down after shoving each other around. Side headlock from Hogan, hammerlock counters from both men. Sting makes it to the ropes and Hogan gives a clean break. Wristlock counters follow before both men come to a stalemate following a few shoulder blocks, and Hogan then tries to steal a victory but Sting kicks out. You can tell when Hogan puts in the effort and he's doing just that in this main event match. Hulk brings Sting down after a test of strength, but it's Sting trying to steal a victory this time with a small package. Hogan kicks out at 2, he's quick to lock up again, and things get a bit cagey. The two men grapple around the ring before Hulk lands a clothesline and a back suplex. The challenger replies with a clothesline of his own. A few corner punches get followed up with an uncharacteristic back rake from Sting, but Hogan dodges an elbow drop and he gets the crowd fired up with a few right hands. We go outside where both men take damage at the guardrail. Hogan gets a bit dirty himself with an eye rake followed by a body slam on the commentary table. We go back to the ring for another Hogan body slam followed by an elbow drop, but Sting's not out yet as he fires back with a Vader bomb before applying a main event chinlock. We're not messing around now, guys. Sting whispers sweet nothings in Hogan's ear before the world champion fights out. Hulk slams his opponent's face to the mat before hulking up with a few punches followed by the big boot. Hogan looks to finish it with his signature leg drop, but Sting dodges it and we see a Stinger splash. Hogan gets a boot up for the second splash and Sting just completely misses the third attempt. And that's it over, guys. Sid and Rick Steiner run down to cause a DQ finish. It's truly frustrating because this was Hogan's best match in a very long time. I wouldn't have been annoyed at all if he beat Sting clean, but no, the finish leaves that bad Nitro taste in your mouth that we try so hard to avoid. Goldberg runs down for the save and Lex Luger also appears, though Flexi Lexi was a bit late. Hogan says he's going to give Sting another shot at the belt. The champ wants Lex and Goldberg to help provide an even playing field, and the Hulkster promises to give Sting another title opportunity in the very near future. Sting agrees. Goldberg and Lex seem happy enough even though Lex accused Hogan of being a snake earlier on. And yeah, a good main event here that I did enjoy, but the finish sucked. After the main event, Kiss played their song God of Thunder and fans were quick to turn the channel. Eric Bischoff overpaid for this appearance and it turned out to be yet another huge mistake from the WCW executive producer. The Kiss performance was one of the lowest segments in Nitro history. It's remembered as being another big misstep from WCW, but hey, at least it gives us the Kiss demon. As part of the deal, a Kiss themed pro wrestler is going to grace WCW rings very soon, and yay, more bollocks to look forward to on Nitro. This is Brian Adams, by the way, playing the role of the Kiss Demon, but he too soon realised that this was bullshit and he had give the gimmick up after one more appearance. The Rock comes out to get a close look at this WWF Championship match, further confirming that he wants to hold the belt himself sooner rather than later. He complains about having to fight Billy Gunn and Gangrel in the space of 24 hours and he completely buries these guys while saying the Great One deserves more. I mean, he's got a point, I guess. The odds get stacked against Mick Foley before the bell rings when Shane McMahon shows up to replace Earl Hebner as the match official. And here we go, Triple H gets violent at the opening bell, but Mick gives as good as he gets. Helmsley takes the running knee strike followed by a facebuster, but when Foley covers Hunter, Shane's way too busy jaw-jacking with The Rock. So Mick pulls out Mr. Socko, he sizes Triple H up, he then turns the Shane O'Mac and the Boy Wonder takes the Mandible Claw. Foley then shoves the match official out of the ring and Triple H looks to capitalise with a pedigree, but it gets countered with a backdrop. The crowd lose their minds when Foley applies the Mandible Claw to Triple H, and they go crazy again when Chyna comes down and we see a third Mandible Claw from Mick Foley. Chyna gets dumped out of the ring, Foley hits the double arm DDT, Earl Hebner runs down for the count but Hunter kicks out at 2. We then go to the outside where Triple H takes a beating at the barrier, but Chyna gives the challenger an assist and Mankind gets hip tossed into the ring steps. The two make it back to the ring, neckbreaker from Triple H, facebreaker knee smash from Triple H. Mick tries to make a comeback but he takes the Harley Race knee, and Hunter gets angry with the referee trying to cool him down. This allows Mick to come back with a jumping clothesline before we head to the outside for the match finish. Chyna keeps the referee busy while Triple H gets thrown on the commentary table. Shane McMahon then hits Mankind with a steel chair, and when Mick approaches Shane, Triple H hits him again, only this time it's right on the head. Hunter then swings the chair again and he almost takes Rock's head off. As Foley gets back in the ring, Shane takes out Earl Hebner, and our match ends with Mick Foley taking a pedigree and Triple H wins the WWF Championship. As explained in the SummerSlam video, Triple H was originally scheduled to win the belt at the pay-per-view, but Steve Austin didn't want to drop the belt to Hunter. And, you know, fair play to Mick Foley. I don't see this as Mick being a one-night paper champion. I see this as Foley doing business where Steve Austin refused to do so. Hunter's the best heel WWF has now that The Undertaker's busy riding his bike in Death Valley along with the Big Show. If Austin was going to be off TV, then it makes sense to move the belt onto a heel so we can have another babyface chase the championship. So welcome to the Triple H era as the game begins his first of many WWF title reigns. Raw wins Reliving the War this week, though credit where it's due. Hogan vs Sting was pretty good for a TV match, and I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. Raw's a pretty significant show though, and looking back at the career of Triple H, I thought the JR bit at the start was done well and the main event was pretty decent too. So yeah, I definitely recommend checking out Raw over Nitro, but don't sleep on Sting vs Hogan. Raw's now on 105 points while Nitro's got 73 points, and in the TV ratings, Raw won with a 5.9 while Nitro did pretty badly to a 2.9. Come over this Sunday and we'll look at the first weekly edition of WWF SmackDown on UPN. Now, going forward, I won't be looking at every SmackDown episode, but I will be looking at the most notable episodes. Thunder also becomes a bit more prevalent in regards to WCW storylines, so I'll be looking at more episodes of that show too in the future. But these won't be done in a head-to-head style, just straight up no-nonsense overviews, and you can pick and choose if you want to watch the SmackDown videos or the Thunder videos. I know everyone wants head-to-heads, but there's just not enough hours in a day. Sorry, but I can't do it even if I wanted to. But yeah, I'll see you all on Sunday for SmackDown. Thank you very, very much for watching, guys. I do appreciate it. And please take care.